Coming up on Mountain News this morning, we take you to Corbin, where protesters were out for a third night making their voices heard. And a Kentucky lawmaker is getting some attention after voicing concerns about a potential federal bill. And one Eastern Kentucky fire department is changing the way that they train firefighters.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News This Morning.
Good morning. My name is Lacey Roberts. Thank you for joining us on Mountain News This Morning. Today is Friday, June 5th, and it feels like a Friday, and that Friday heat is here to usher us into the weekend. We've been talking about it all morning. Let's bring in Brandon Robinson. It's nice and humid already, but it looks like some relief will come in, maybe.
Absolutely. By the end of the weekend there, I thought you were going to say something else. That's why I paused for a second. But anyway, yes, you're right. We're going to see some probably relief behind a weak cold front on Sunday. But until then, humid today, hot tomorrow, and then some relief by Sunday. But this morning, of course, this forecast brought to you by the letters T, G, I, and F, as always on Friday mornings. But unfortunately, the rain coming down across parts of the area this morning. So be careful out there. It's been kind of cycling through in the overnight hours. We're seeing some dense fog as well this morning. Less than a mile visibility at Pikeville and less than 2 miles there at Harlan and in London. So anything less than 5 miles is dense fog. So just take it easy out there. Temperatures in the 60s and close to 70 this morning area wide. We take a look at our out the door forecast. We are going to see again temperatures that will be a little bit cooler today, air temperatures, but the humidity will stick around, and so will the rain chances until we get later into the afternoon. Full forecast on the way here in just a little bit. Lacey.
Thank you, Brandon. Folks gathered again last night in Corbin for another Black Lives Matter protest. It was the third event for the city, and WYMT's Connor James tells us it continued to stay peaceful.
Thursday night, voices here in Corbin echoed chants and people waved signs.
People in Appalachia need to know that they have allies, and that's what this is about.
Sarah Howard organized the protest at Nibrock Park. Howard says it's important for small towns to step up and speak out.
And it's all about just showing support for the people of color in our community and to show our disdain for the wrongful and unjust murders of Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, Eric Garner, Ahmaud Arbery, countless others. Just enough is enough.
Across the street, a small group came by and said they were there to keep things peaceful. They said they were not there to counter-protest, and some ended up crossing the street. Others who came out say it is the least they can do.
I want to be on the right side of history. My mom grew up in Detroit, Michigan, and she stood for Black lives back then, and it's important for me to do the same now.
Tamara Eaton was born in Corbin. She says she's happy for the show of support.
This is my hometown, and I'm really proud of how many people showed up to stand up for people and stand up for what's right.
And as the protest continued on through the evening, honks echoed Main Street in support of Black Lives Matter. In Corbin, Connor James, WYMT Mountain News.
And the host of last night's event, Kentuckians for a Change, have another one in Middlesboro on Sunday at City Hall. Another protest is scheduled for Saturday night in downtown Hazard. The Lexington Police Department is making changes to a controversial policy at the center of Breonna Taylor's death. A no-knock warrant was being conducted the night Louisville officers shot and killed her. Now Lexington Police Chief Lawrence Weathers says a layer of approval is being added to their policy.
Yeah, I don't think anybody can argue that it does happen disproportionately, and that's something that needs to change.
That policy also states that once they are inside, ununiformed officers must continually announce that they are the police. Louisville police have said that they identified themselves, but Taylor's neighbors said that they never heard anything like that the night that she was killed. And during Thursday's news conference, Governor Beshear was asked about a Confederate statue in the Capitol. There's a statue of Confederate President Jefferson Davis in the rotunda. Governor Beshear says he believes the statue should not be there and that it should be removed. He calls it a symbol that divides us.
I believe that Jefferson Davis statue is a symbol that divides us. And even if there are those that think it's a part of history, there should be a better place to put it in historic context. And right now, seeing so much pain in our state and across our country, can't we at least realize that in so many of our fellow Kentuckians, people that, again, we're talking about compassion in terms of COVID, we ought to have compassion for all pain. Can't we understand that it is, in the very least, so hurtful to them, and doesn't that at least justify it not sitting where it does right now? I think I don't think it should be in the Capitol Rotunda.
The governor said there should be a better place for it with more historical context for the statue. And meanwhile, following protests over police brutality and racial injustice in cities across the United States, a statue honoring a Civil War era general is coming down in Richmond, Virginia. The governor, Ralph Northam, announced the removal of the Robert E. Lee statue from Richmond's Monument Avenue. Richmond's mayor says that it is time to replace, quote, racist symbols of oppression and inequality.
It's time to put an end to the lost cause and fully embrace the righteous cause. It's time to replace the racist symbols of oppression and inequality, symbols that have literally dominated our landscape, with symbols that represent and summon the best in all of us.
Now, Governor Northam says that the statue will be placed in storage while it will remain until government leaders and the community can discuss its future. Switching gears, Pikeville's fire department is changing the way that they train their firefighters. Kimberly Kege gives us a look inside the new training facility that looks to provide an experience as close to the real thing as possible.
When duty calls, firefighters respond in minutes. But that skill doesn't just come naturally. Kentucky firefighters do more than 100 hours of training each year. Now the City of Pikeville Fire Department is adapting their training to give firefighters as close to real-world experience as they can get.
We could get them in live fire training and teach them how fire is going to react and how to actually go in and put it out safely, and how to move the nozzles, move the hose lines.
The two-story facility is equipped with removable walls, windows, and doors, allowing firefighters to change the scenario.
The more we can be prepared before we respond out of this station, better it is for the victims, the safer it is on us. So by training and altering and adapting our training, we can go ahead and have that mindset on the way in. And as we talked about reading this.
This is the burn room where real-life fires will be set so firefighters can get training on ventilation, rescue, and suppression.
That also shows the firefighters what their capabilities and limits are going to be, and how they need to prepare themselves for long-term in here.
Adapting training so first responders can be better prepared when emergency strikes.
That was Kimberly Kege reporting, and the training facility will be used by other departments in the region as Pikeville Fire Department serves as a regional training hub.
Time now for our Daily Helpers and Heroes segment, where we highlight those folks like the Pikeville firefighters across the front lines working during this pandemic. And always, let's go to our first picture this morning, and that one comes to us from Kayla Ramey. This is her mom, Gwen Endicott. Gwen is a housekeeper at the Riverview Nursing Home in Prestonsburg. Kayla says she continues to pray for her mom and all the others who are working on the front lines taking care of those who are most at risk. Kayla will add our prayers and our thanks to yours as well. Our next picture was submitted by Amy Jarvis. This is Scotty Jarvis. He's a transport driver for Coca-Cola. Now, while some of you may not think, well, Scotty's an essential worker, think about this. How many deliveries does he make, and how much does people love their pop? So he goes to gas stations, he goes to grocery stores, so he's out there right in it, just along with the rest of us there. So he's definitely interacting with the public. Thank you, Scotty, for your hard work during this time and always. And finally, our last picture today comes to us from Carolyn Cowan. This is her daughter, Shelby. Shelby is a CNA at Lee County Health and Rehab, just across the state line from Harlan County in Virginia. Her mom says Shelby is one of the many many on the front lines taking care of their patients and it's their beautiful baby girl. Thank you, Shelby, for being awesome. Now, keep those submissions coming. You can do that on WYMT.com. Just click on the Helpers and Heroes section of the website, or right there below the radar, you can click on the Add Media button. Lacey?
Thank you, Brandon, and thank you for those submissions. Like Brandon said, please keep those coming, and thank you for watching Mountain News this morning. We'll take a look at some of today's top stories in just a few minutes.